In Matthew 23:24, we have a very strange phrase, something that something Jesus said, and it's often quoted in the modern day. But what does it really mean? It says, blind guides who strain out the gnat and swallow the camel. Well, in context, we're probably talking about a cup of wine and, a gnat or something kind of falls into it. Well, this doesn't really bother a person. They just, strain it out. But yet, if there's something bigger in the cup, they give the example of a camel, but Matthew was written in Hebrew, so that word in Hebrew for camel, in certain contexts, could also mean rope or thread. So maybe we could possibly say that, a little teeny tiny gnat, no bigger than a speck of dust, they're going to strain out, but yet they'll swallow, a thread as long as your arm. So, that's kind of strange. You're going to strain out a gnat, but you don't mind swallowing a thread. I don't know about you, but, I've eaten a piece of food or drank something and I'm like, ooh, gross, what's that in my mouth? And I'll pull out a really long hair that somehow got into it, and it just grosses me right out. But yet here, it's giving the example of somebody straining out something so small that if you swallowed it, you wouldn't even know that you swallowed it. Straining out a gnat, but yet swallowing a camel, swallowing a rope, swallowing something that's, 10 times, 100 times bigger than a gnat. And yet you don't bat an eye when you do it. It doesn't bother you when you do it. So in context, what does this really mean? Well, I could give the example of adults and teenagers. Sometimes adults, major on the minors. They are sticklers for the P's and Q's and the crossing the T's and the dotting of the I's, and they're sticklers about the particulars. So sometimes if a teenager may say what's considered a cuss word, some foul language, they'll say something that's inappropriate. Perhaps they drop the F-bomb or something, and then the adult just goes ballistic and goes, oh, you shouldn't say that, clean up your act, and they punish them for cussing, for cursing, for dropping the F-bomb. So that would be an example of straining a gnat compared to if they find out that their child has premarital sex, that have been sexually active before marriage, and they're like, oh, well, that's teenagers for you. Teenagers will be teenagers, raging hormones, and they act like it's not a big deal. That is a perfect example of straining a gnat and swallowing a camel. They'll dismiss the sin of premarital sex and fornication and adultery as if it's no big deal. But simply saying a cuss word, they'll go ballistic and go all out on that. It's kind of the same in church or synagogue when somebody doesn't really know, the religious culture of that particular church or synagogue. They don't know how to speak Christianese. They don't really know, the culture. And they may say or do something that's kind of shocking or offensive within the church or synagogue, and yet they'll go ballistic on that. Oh, well, they shouldn't have said that, or they shouldn't have done it, or they shouldn't have wore that in church, or they whatever. And that's, majoring on the minors, but yet maybe they're a gossip or, a drug addict and maybe a known drug dealer, and they're giving their drug money as tithes to the church. It's dirty money. It's money that shouldn't be accepted. And because they're big tithers, they won't say anything. Or because maybe they're a gossiper, but yet they're a big wig in the community, and so they just let it slide and they let it go. They won't say anything because they're afraid of offending this person, and then they leave the congregation and therefore take their money with them. That would be a modern day example of straining out a gnat and yet swallowing a camel, swallowing a rope. So basically, the point that Yeshua is trying to make is that we need to be unbiased. We need to not show favoritism. We need to be fair in all of our assessments, judgments, and dealings with other people. And basically, this is a verse that's speaking against being a hypocrite or being hypocritical. So Truth is truth, and one standard for one person needs to be the same standard for the next person. We can't have, the Torah says, the law of God says that you shouldn't have two different weights, inaccurate measures to where you can cheat people and get a better deal when you're a merchant. You have to have equal weights, so one price is the same for one guy as it is for the next. So one standard of judgment is the same for the rich, poor, low reputation, low status as it is for the rich and high reputation and high status. We're not to show favoritism to anyone or anything. And the letter of James, which is Yeshua's half-brother, goes into great detail about this very thing. So as we go about our day, let's treat everybody the same. And, let's resist the temptation to major on the minors, to strain out a gnat and swallow a camel. Hey, thanks for listening. Go out there and have a great day. God bless.
Abraham'sDescendants.com, getting back to the 1st century in a 21st century way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press the like button as well as the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and the notification bell that'll let you know every time I make a new video. And don't forget to share this with a friend. Also, visit our website at Abraham'sDescendants.com. Thanks. Shalom. Thanks for watching. Stay connected by subscribing to our other social media accounts and visiting our website at Abraham'sDescendants.com.